don't shoot the messenger. The food is literally trying to tell you there's an
Yeah.
issue,
Right.
but often there's a reason for that. It's not necessarily the food.
You're listening to the What the Gut podcast, where busy moms can come for a holistic approach to health and vitality. I'm Allison, your host, a holistic health and wellness coach. In this space, we'll dive into the intricacies of achieving holistic wellness while balancing the demands of daily life as a busy mom. What the Gut is your haven for navigating the challenges that come with juggling numerous tasks while aiming for a healthier, more balanced life. Join me as we uncover practical solutions to common health hurdles, from managing fatigue to understanding all things gut health. Through insightful discussions, actionable insights, and tailored lifestyle strategies, my goal here is to empower you to embrace a vibrant, nourishing life while saying goodbye to being overwhelmed and exhausted. So if you're ready to embark on this transformative journey towards holistic well-being, hit that subscribe button. Get ready to discover the secrets to thriving in motherhood while nurturing your overall wellness. A quick reminder, everything discussed here is for educational and empowering purposes only and is not intended for personalized medical advice. Consult your personal healthcare provider for personalized medical advice. Welcome to What the Gut, where we create our own path to holistic health, one episode at a time. So today on What the Gut, I'm thrilled to welcome a guest who truly understands the joys and challenges of motherhood and the journey to better health. She's a mom of 4 kids. She's a registered nutritional therapist and a certified life code genetics practitioner who specializes in food intolerances, sensitivities, and gut health. And she's passionate about helping moms who put themselves last, teaching them how to prioritize their health in really simple ways. And with her functional medicine approach, she's here to empower all of us to understand the connection between stress and gut health, why managing stress is really important for digestion, and how we can make manageable changes to feel our best. Lisa, thanks for being here today.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, and I know that you've got your own health journey that really started whenever you moved to Dubai in 2007. And from there, that's gotten you to where you are today. I'd love for you to share your story.
Yeah, sure. So in 2007, I moved to Dubai. My husband got a job and we moved with 2 children at that time. My daughter, who was 4, and my son was 1. And we knew that we wanted more children. I always had 4 in my mind. They came along, number 3, and eventually number 4. But there was quite a gap in between number 3 and 4 years, because of my son, who was the number 3. Well, first of all, number 3 and 4 were both cesareans. And at the time, I had no knowledge of the microbiome and how cesarean delivery affects the microbiome. And he had a lot of early antibiotics and just seemed to get ill an awful lot. And I was working still for British Airways as a flight attendant at the time. And so I just got to the point where I was thinking, what is going on? He's just getting ill all the time. And leaving him to go, because I was living in Dubai, but traveling back to London, that was my base. So I had to fly back and I had to leave him with a nanny and my husband. So when I came back, he'd barely eaten anything and he was just getting sicker and sicker. So I started looking for experts that were visiting Dubai, and I met Patrick Holford. Don't know if you're familiar with Patrick Holford, and also Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, who developed the GAPS diet.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting because I managed to ask her a question at the end about my son, like, what do? I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going on. And she told me to take his favorite toy, put it on top of the fridge, and to make some bone broth. And that was really expensive to do in Dubai. Organic chickens, they were like 20, 30 pounds each time, but I was willing to do anything. And she basically told me to make this broth, to take the chicken out, strain it, and then to give him like 1 teaspoon. And when he'd done that, I could give him his toy back. And he was balking on it initially. And then within a week, he was having 3 bowls a day. And I couldn't believe it. And I thought, right. And then I started to read her book and about the gut and the nutrients for the gut from bone broth. And that's where I thought, right, I'm going to change career. And I decided to leave flying and started studying nutrition. And so it went from there really. And even whilst living in Dubai, when I had my number 4, he developed constipation and he was also cesarean delivery. And that's where I started learning about different types of milk and different types of proteins in milk. And that really catalyzed everything to where I am today. Yeah, that's where my passion for milk started, understanding actually milk is not just milk. There's a lot going on in milk and it can be really beneficial for some people and really problematic for others. But yes, that's where everything started from there.
Yeah. Gosh, I have so many questions. It's like so much good stuff. I love how, though, you mentioned the effects of a cesarean section. Like if the mom has a cesarean section, the effects that has on the baby's gut microbiome because they're not exposed to all of the vaginal microbes. And that's so important for the development of a child's gut. So it's wild how I noticed that in my children too. I've got 2 that were born cesarean and 1 that was vaginal. You can definitely tell the difference if you try to pinpoint it as a mom. But with your son, how, like, he eventually started drinking more of the bone broth, and did his symptoms get better? Did he stay just as ill? I mean, what was that
Yeah.
process like?
So over kind of 6 months, we gradually were able to introduce more foods because he used to balk at pictures of food. So he was only 2 at the time. He'd weaned successfully and then he'd gone back over and just was living on kind of cereal and strawberries. So eventually over 6 months, I managed to reintroduce a range of normal foods and he was pretty good for a while. And over time, he's developed kind of strange symptoms that have got gradually worse. And now he has allergies. He has oral allergy syndrome, and he has post-COVID fatigue.
Mm,
So we're at another kind of stage now where I have to look at different options for him. Yeah. So, and it's interesting that number 3 and number 4, they both have allergies, the kind of hay fever, dust, grass, pollen, that kind of thing. And so you do think about, yeah, their delivery. The first 2 were vaginal and they don't have any of those issues. So yeah, he's been good for a while, but it's something has reactivated some problems for him.
yeah, it reactivated that. Like he's more susceptible
Mm,
to certain things because of how his gut was influenced in the beginning. And a lot of people hear the words allergies and intolerances and sensitivities. So, what's the difference between all of those? I know what
yeah.
they are, but I want you to explain it for our listeners in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, this is a question that comes up like daily. And it's really important to understand the difference in terminology. And it's easy for me to explain it in terms of dairy because that kind of encompasses all 3. So with a dairy allergy, the symptoms really need to be diagnosed by a medical professional. They're quite life-threatening. They tend to happen quite soon after the intake of dairy, and they're quite dramatic. With a sensitivity, it tends to be more a dairy sensitivity tends to be a problem with digestion of dairy. And that can mean that you may need to eliminate for a short period of time, and then you may be able to reintroduce it. Generally, it doesn't involve the immune system. And when we talk about dairy intolerance, we talk about lactose intolerance. And that's where my kind of MSc research was based around lactose. And that is basically a lack of the enzyme lactase to break down lactose. But you can develop that from weaning, and your genetics will influence that, whether you are lactose persistent or lactose non-persistent. But you can also get secondary lactose intolerance as well. For example, if you've had like a stomach bug, you can develop temporary lactose intolerance. So you may have to remove things temporarily, lactose, not necessarily dairy, and then you may be able to reintroduce. You can see how the confusion occurs because
Yes.
it's really complicated, but it really boils down to understanding, is it an allergy, which is life-threatening, or is it a problem with the enzyme, or is it just a digestion problem and we need to just support digestion?
Yeah, I love that. You just explained it very clearly, and it's nice and easy to understand. Now, I had terrible sensitivities to so many foods for a long time, and I eliminated those from my diet, but I got to the point to where I eliminated them so much that I was only eating like 2 or 3 different foods, and that in itself caused so many other problems because I didn't have that diversity of a healthy diet. And so if you have a sensitivity, if your stomach does get irritated at certain foods, it's important to take that out of the diet temporarily, but it's also super important to figure out like what's causing that sensitivity and work on that because I learned the hard way just taking it out of your diet is only going to make it worse if you're not working on it. I ended up taking this and this and this all out of my diet, but not working on what was really causing it, only to realize that my gut was so mad and angry, it was going to end up being sensitive to anything. And so, if you have that sensitivity to certain foods where you're just not really digesting it, you have the stomach pain, you need to figure out what's going on before it gets worse. Don't just take the food out and expect it to go away because your body's trying to tell you something.
Yeah, exactly. It's a case of don't shoot the messenger. The food is literally trying to tell you there's an
Yeah.
issue,
Like,
but often there's a reason for that. It's not necessarily the food, it's digestion a lot of times. Yeah.
right. Now, what causes intolerances and sensitivities? What is the root cause of that actually happening?
Well, I mean, it depends. That's quite a big question. With intolerances, like I say, with lactose, it is an enzyme issue and different things can affect enzyme production. So even like with people who are diagnosed with celiac disease, for example, they have blunted villi where the enzyme's produced. So once they remove gluten from their diet, they may be able to tolerate lactose again once the enzyme forms on the villi again. So there's enzyme problems. And people that have, for example, SIBO and they get an overgrowth of bacteria, these things can affect that enzyme production. Then you have something like histamine intolerance as well. So that can be a problem with the DAO enzyme, or it can be a problem kind of genetics and breaking down histamine. So you'll get an overload of histamine. It can be just so many different things. I mean, people think, oh, I've got a problem with this food or that food, but how are they living their life? Are they eating on the run? Are they scrolling on their phone while they're eating? Are they chewing properly? There's a lot of lifestyle factors that cause these issues, but people always want to just blame the food and not really look because those things are hard to change. It's easy just to take the food out and think you've solved the problem, or to get a test and think, okay, that's the problem. That's it. I'm done. That's not it. Like you said, if you don't address why the problem's happening in the first place, you're just going to be cutting out more and more foods, like what you said had happened to you. There's lots of reasons why that can happen, but digestion and focusing on digestion is a big part of helping.
Yes. I know with sensitivities, like just anything can irritate it. Like you said, sitting down and chewing my food more, that was so mind blowing to me. Like, I remember the first time that I was like, okay, the first time I'd heard that and like put 2 and 2 together and like really understood what I was doing. I was releasing those enzymes in my mouth, in my body, in my gut, my brain, all of these things happening under the surface that were helping me digest my food better. I ate a meal, I took my time, I chewed my food as long as I could, and I didn't have stomach pain afterward, and I always had stomach pain after eating, and, like, I'm like, "That's all I had to do this whole time?" Obviously, there were other things going on, but that helped so much, and so I know that there's this direct gut-brain connection that we have, and stress, it plays such an important part in how we digest our food. What is the impact of stress on digestion really like?
Yeah. So basically, the nervous system controls digestion. You have the parasympathetic system, which is the rest and digest, and then the sympathetic system, which is the fight or flight. And what I find is the rest and digest needs to be actually switched on. Whereas the fight or flight is an automatic response. It's just triggered by different things that the brain picks up, the hypothalamus picks up. That can be internal stress, that can be external stress. So to make digestion switched on, you have to basically slow down and switch on that response, because that's not automatic. Your automatic response is survival and stress to run away from a predator. And then what happens is the blood flow is moved away from digestion. And so things slow right down. By just slowing down, taking some breaths, you get that rest and digest turned on and the blood flow returning.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's really hard to do that sometimes as women who work a lot. These days, women are working so much more than they have before, and in different settings too, right? I think we're putting
Mhm.
ourselves under a different type of stress than we ever have before. But also having your kids at home, even if you're not working at a job, but you're a stay at home mom, just the stress of having your kids around. So I think that it's automatic these days for us to be so stressed out. Like, we don't take the time enough to just sit and rest and even turn the TV off while we're watching
Yeah.
TV. We don't realize that if we even have that TV on and we're watching TV and eating, that's impacting us. And it can just be really hard. You have to be really conscious and aware of everything, but it impacts you in an amazing way. Now, Lisa, what are 3 simple tips that you would give somebody on, like, how they can lower their stress?
Number one is slow down and take just maybe 3 deep breaths in and out. That's very simple and really effective. You can feel the relief is pretty instant. And I would also say about learning to prioritize. I hear a lot from many clients is, I don't have time. I don't have time to make my lunch. I don't have time to do that. I have to do this. I haven't got time. It's more a question of time management and learning to prioritize. And what I would say is you have to learn, get control of your time and to schedule. If you want to have time to make a lunch for yourself in advance, you need to schedule it in. If you want to go to an exercise class or yoga or go for a walk or meet friends, schedule it in and stick to it. It's really important to get control of your time, because if I hear I don't have time, I'm then going to give someone a time audit to see where the time's going. And I've done it for myself recently because I wanted to increase my walking steps. And I'm thinking, I haven't got time. And I'm thinking, oh, I need to do a time audit.
I think we all need to recheck it every now and then, right?
Yeah. And then what I realized is I was wasting up to an hour and a half in the morning after I'd get my breakfast and coffee, go back into bed, and I'd be scrolling. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's an hour and a half some days. And I'm telling myself I haven't got time. I have. I just have to spend it differently. And then I can do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And number 3 is I always teach my clients about the stress bank account, and it works really well. So it's just thinking daily, what deposits are coming out of your stress bank account and what withdrawals are coming out and what deposits can you put in. So putting in is just literally regular balanced meals, prioritizing sleep. It is those essentials, maybe having a bath with some nice essential oils, maybe meeting with friends. So they're deposits so that you don't get overdrawn because you've taken too many withdrawals. And this works really well. I mean, I've used it pretty much with all my clients. It just makes it really simple for them to think, oh, yeah, okay, I need to put in some more deposits and what am I going to do? And they can see the switch from when I've started working with them to at the end, the balance has tipped. And we've got a lot of deposits going in and not many withdrawals or just the odd withdrawal. And that works really well. I really like that
Yeah.
concept.
Yeah, that is an interesting concept because you can write that down easily or keep up with
Yeah.
that on your phone easily. And that's a simple way to do it. Now, Lisa, I know that you're a life code genetics practitioner. What does the role play with genetics and
Mm.
insensitivities and allergies? Have you seen people that have come to you and maybe have a certain genetic makeup and are prone to a certain allergy, but have been able to overcome that?
I haven't looked at allergies, more the intolerances and sensitivities. So, for example, the nutrient core report, it looks at the lactase gene. So I did actually do the live code on my son as well, so I could see his genetic pathways. So you can see really, is the problem via the gut, or is there a kind of problem in the nervous system of the breakdown of histamine? And that's really nice to see, because then you can see where you need to focus on, because those tests are so that you can see where the vulnerabilities are, so that you can support the vulnerabilities. So seeing my son loves milk, and I don't want to take that away from him unless there's a real need. I mean, a 16-year-old who likes milk, that's amazing, because all those nutrients and the protein, and it's quick and easy to have. So I didn't want to take that away unless there was a real reason to justify that. And luckily for him, he showed that he was lactase persistent. So on that side of things, it was fine. But also it looks at the genes for gluten as well. So it's not diagnostic, but it can certainly point you in the right direction if that needs to be assessed by a medical professional. Yes, so that's one report I use. I like that one a lot, because it just gives a really good kind of indication of what to do and where to go next. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I really appreciate how you say genetic like vulnerability, because
Mhm.
we do have the capacity to alter our genes and our DNA through
Yeah.
epigenetics. But I think knowing our genetics, what genes we have, can be so helpful because it allows us to see, okay, if I don't try at all, if I don't try to be healthy and eat right
Mm.
or live a healthy lifestyle, what is my path just automatically going to go to? And that's
Yeah.
what our genes will do, right? But if we try to alter them and go in a different direction, we can definitely make that happen. And so it's the vulnerability that we have.
Yeah, it's looking at the pathways, what nutrients are needed. And in the example of like histamine intolerance, for example, just thinking about the things that interfere with the DAO enzyme, things like caffeine and alcohol. If someone has histamine symptoms, that's what I'm looking at. It's a very easy win. My son used to drink a lot of energy drinks, and they weren't great for his teeth, but they weren't great for his kind of histamine symptoms as well, of itching, things like that. So I've taught him that this is his report, that it doesn't change and that we can keep coming back to this. But I'm educating him on the fact that if he chooses as an adult to have a lot of caffeine or alcohol, he may feel worse. So I'm just forming that connection. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying this may be a problem for you because of your genetics.
Right. Now, talking about histamine intolerances,
Mhm.
for listeners out there that aren't familiar with that, can you explain that a little bit? If somebody is getting frequent infections, things like that, or what would be some signs of histamine intolerance and how would they know they have that?
The thing is with histamine that it can affect kind of multiple systems in the body. So it can be cardiovascular, increased heartbeat. It can affect the GI tract with gut symptoms, or it can affect skin, which is the case with my son. And what I learned from doing the genetics courses, it can just be a symptom as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a condition. And I think that's really important. Even it tends to be affected by hormones as well. And you'll find women going through perimenopause and the fluctuating hormones, estrogen. If you have high estrogen, that can cause you to have symptoms of histamine tolerance. But that can settle down once your hormones are able to rebalance. So I think that's just a really important point to note.
Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of different things that can go on with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, Lisa, this has been really helpful in explaining the differences in allergies, intolerances, and sensitivities. Is there anything else that you want to leave our listeners with today?
I think in terms of eating, it should be enjoyable. And that is my whole mission, really, of trying to rebuild people's relationship with food and enjoy food. And there's something called the raisin meditation. I don't know if you've come across that. Basically, you can use raisin, or you can use a piece of chocolate, or even a cup of tea. It's about being mindful. It's bringing awareness back to what you're doing. I think that's really important, in terms of just managing stress and digestion together. Just by taking a raisin in your hand, feeling it, using your senses, looking at it, smelling it, putting it into your mouth, holding it there, moving it around with your tongue. It's just the process of being mindful and how important that is to digestion. Just bearing in mind that digestion starts before you even put food in your mouth. There's a process before called cephalic phase of digestion, and that is really overlooked in this day and age because it involves, again, all the senses. It involves thinking about your food. It involves preparation and looking at your food and smelling. And that is really overlooked in today's world. So just take time to slow down, be involved, be there, be present, and your body will really thank you for that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to eat lunch in just a minute and just sit there and enjoy it and maybe go sit outside.
Yes, exactly. So that will be a few deposits in your stress bank account.
Yes, it always makes me feel so much better than I expect if you just become more aware and close your computer, get off your phone and just eat by yourself or without electronics and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, just to feel the sun on your face and just
yeah.
take a moment to slow down, but it feels good. And sometimes we have to be our own parent, really, and tell ourselves what we'd tell other people and to be
Right.
able to look after ourselves.
I love how at the beginning of our conversation, you were talking about something else about how you have to look at your schedule again to time manage to make sure that
Mhm.
your time is allotted where it needs to be. And even if people like you and I know all of this stuff, it doesn't mean that we have it down pat. Like it's a constant reminder. It's a constant like active thing we're doing, but we know it's important, right? So we keep doing
Yeah.
it. Nobody's perfect at all of this, but Lisa, I know that we can find you on Instagram. Is there anywhere else where we can find you?
My website is lisamcphersonnutrition.co.uk if anyone wants to head over there, and I have all the life codes information on there as well, which is quite interesting to read through.
Okay, awesome. Well, Lisa, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for being a part of my journey on What the Gut podcast. For a deeper dive into today's topics, head over to allisonandwellness.com/whatthegut or find the detailed show notes linked below. Hey, and don't miss out on future episodes. Hit that subscribe button, and if you love this one, please leave me a review. Let's keep the conversation going over on Instagram. Connect with me and stay updated and engaged with my awesome community. Plus, share these valuable insights with your tribe. They deserve to feel as amazing as you do. You can find me at Allison_and_wellness on Instagram. Your support means the world to me. I'm looking forward to our next awesome chat. But until then, stay curious, don't drink too much coffee, keep the vibrant energy flowing, and take care of your gut. Catch you real soon. Oh, and hey, if you're ready to dive deeper into personalized wellness, check out my one-on-one health coaching program at allisonandwellness.com. Let's make your journey to holistic health truly transformative. Hey there, it's Allison, and if you're anything like me, coffee is a non-negotiable part of your day. But did you know that most coffee is loaded with mold, toxins, and pesticides that could be messing up your gut and hormones? Yeah, no thanks. That's why I only drink Purity coffee. It's organic, tested for toxins, and it's packed with antioxidants that actually support your health instead of wrecking it. It's smooth, delicious, and best of all, it does not leave me feeling jittery or bloated. So if you're ready to upgrade your coffee game and support your gut at the same time, grab a bag of Purity coffee today. Your body will thank you. Oh, and because you are part of the What the Gut family, I've got a special link just for you. Just head to puritycoffee.com and use code AllisonGetsWell for 20% off your first order. Cheers to coffee that loves you back.